Hello everyone, this is Kim with Ramblings with Kim. I am on here today to talk about Jordan. There seems to be an awful lot of hostility towards Jordan as to why they will not help Palestine, why they are not there helping Palestine, and I don't seem to see or hear the same hostility towards Lebanon or Syria or Egypt or Saudi Arabia. Sometimes you'll hear just a general, why won't the Arab nations help Palestine? And that's a good question. The main question is, one, the Arab Accords, and two, they want arms from the U.S., and they're afraid that if they get involved, they won't get these arms from the U.S. Now, is that a good way to go? No, that's not the way I would live my life. That's not the way that I believe the Torah teaches you to live your life. Now, I am no expert in the Torah. I am no expert in the Quran. That's what I meant to say the first time, the Quran. I'm also no expert in the Torah. As far as the Bible goes, we all know the story about my mother taking away my Bible when I was 7 because I asked her about giants and they kept asking her these questions, and she got so tired of me asking these questions, she took them away from me. But I did spend quite a lot of time in Catholic school, but not Catholic school like CCD that you have to go to at night, and it used to interrupt my Little House on the Prairie days. So with that, let's go on and find out some facts about Jordan. Jordan happens to be the poorest of all the Arab nations. Why is that, might you ask? Because they have no access to oil, gas, water, anything. They were carved out after World War II, like a lot of countries were. We just decided to draw a line, like Trump likes to say. Well, we just drew a line, right? So we can just redraw a line and it'll be just fine, right? Okay, well, we drew lines badly. Not only did we draw lines badly, we put people in places where they maybe shouldn't have gone. And I'm not going to talk about people like maybe Zionists, because we felt bad and we didn't want them in our land. So we thought we'd kill two birds with one stone. We didn't want them there. We felt bad about it. We'll just put them there, right? Because Arabs are lesser than. At least we continue to think that, which is absolutely ridiculous. So basically, Jordan depends on the U.S. for aid, for their ability to live, and they also will be the first ones to take in refugees. So after the Nakba, they took in approximately 2.6 million Palestinian refugees. Most of them they made citizens and gave them passports. And after the 2011 civil war that Assad created in Syria, they took in about 600,000 refugees from Syria. And considering how poor their country is, that's a lot of refugees. So the U.S. was helping to sustain Jordan's ability to be able to keep those refugees and feed and provide what they needed at that time. Now, I have been to Jordan. Jordan is a beautiful country. The people are extremely nice. Even the guards that stop you every few miles and ask you for your car registration are extremely nice compared to what I just went through in Egypt. I would take Jordan any day over Egypt. Now I haven't gotten in any farther because, of course, as everyone knows, I shattered my ankle, and once again I was not able to make it. And the last time I tried to get into Jordan, Hezbollah threw me in jail. And if you want to see that story, I think it might be on my on my TikTok. But you'll have to go and see if it's on my TikTok. I may have taken it down because I think they got upset about it, but I'm not sure. Now, Jordan has tried to keep peaceful negotiations between not just the U.S., but the U.S. and Palestine. It's been a major priority for the both of them. Jordan is actually in charge of the antiquities in the West Bank. They have been put in charge of them. Not Israel, not Palestine, but the Jordanians. And there's a reason for that, because they are considered to be responsible, and they aren't going to do what the Zionists did, which is to want to tear everything down and not care in the least what the Christians or the Muslims think of these antiquities. Because I know, being a Catholic, kind of, a lot of what is in that area are parts of my religion. And to see Zionists go in there and think that they can just tear everything apart, and that's perfectly okay with them, that's not okay with the rest of the world. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of this blowback. That and the fact that they've killed 50,000 people for no reason whatsoever. And if somebody comes back and says, oh, but what about October 7th? Okay, what about 1947? What about the early 1900s? Do we want to play that game? Because I can play that game all friggin' day long. And then I'll get to the point where it's like, you literally are not worth my time. Because you aren't. And so if you want to play that game, you're going to have to play it with your Zionist friends. Because if you come into a country, take it over, you think you were given it, and then take land that wasn't yours, shove everybody out of there, kill 1 million people, put them all into Gaza, and then build a wall around there and occupy them. I wonder where I have heard that from before. Right before all the Zionists moved to Palestine. What happened before the Zionists moved to Palestine? That they were kicked out of their homes, and they were forcibly displaced, and then they were put in areas where they were forced into guarded areas with fences and starved to death. Are there any Zionists out there that could explain to me what I'm missing about that? Because I think something happened before that you might all want to explain. I'm just wondering, because I've studied the Holocaust for 50 years. So, let's have a discussion then. But don't tell me that it all started on October 7th, because it didn't. Now let's get back to Jordan. Again, Jordan's a poor country. There aren't that many Arab countries that are willing to help out Jordan. First of all, we had Syria and Assad and gas and civil war and prisons and people locked underground with cement poured and trying to get people out from under there. And Russia on their side. Now we have somebody who's in charge of Syria, who was Al-Qaeda, ISIS. And Trump said, but he's handsome. So let's give them back their money. Which actually isn't a bad idea, because it keeps them from trying to traffic or trying to do some of the things that they were doing beforehand. They also promised to keep Israel out of their land. So they're supposed to get arms, but the problem is that Israel keeps blowing up their cache of arms. So then we have Lebanon, and Israel just wants to invade Lebanon. So now Hezbollah's reared its ugly head again and said, no. See, we said we would go and stay away if you left our country, but you won't. So why? Why should we leave if you won't do what you won't do? Now, as far as Egypt goes, I actually had to direct traffic one night, which is actually the most fun that I had the entire time I was in Egypt, was directing traffic. So if the policeman can't direct traffic in Egypt or in Cairo, I have my doubts as to whether or not their military can do a military operation. I'm just saying. But they have two fronts. They have a front with Israel, and they have a front with Chad and Sudan. So they're fighting on both sides, and it's not easy. And then if you want to open up the third front, which is Libya. And so they are not in an easy spot at all. So Jordan is probably the closest ally to the U.S. that is a democracy. It's not like Israel's not a democracy. You can look at them and see that they're not a democracy. Yes, one person was thrown in jail for protesting against, what Jordan was doing to Palestine. One person was. They're still probably the closest ally that we have there that is a democracy. And most of that is because they depend on us for everything. And it is too bad that when they were drawing up the lines, they did not draw up the lines that provided them with some type of income, some type of water source, some type of any kind of natural resource that they could use to help them along the way. And so this has been going on and on since 1948. Now, recently, the Middle East Eye has come out with the airdrops, which Jordan has been doing since the beginning. And they have said that Jordan has been receiving between $200,000 and $400,000 for each airdrop that they complete. Now, I'm not sure why this is a big kerfluffle, big mass problem. They're using their own planes. Yes, the food is being provided to them. Yes, they are using their own Jordanian soldiers to get the food there. Yes, it is dangerous to do an airdrop, but it's more dangerous to die of starvation. So we really need to look at both of those sides. I have been a huge proponent of airdrops, and I have always said that they need to be closest to the beach, and I believe that the Palestinians need to know that these are being dropped close to the ocean and need to stay away just in case. And I know they're in a situation where they're starving, so they're going to try and get there as quickly as they can. But in order to keep them from getting hit by one of these boxes, they need to stay as far away as possible and then go and get the boxes. And that would be the most helpful. Do I see a problem with Jordan getting money for doing this? No. Jet fuel's expensive. Maintaining a jet or C-130 is expensive. Maintaining a military is expensive. They are trying to do what they can with what they have. And so, yes, Jordan is doing the best that they can. Do they have the ability to go in there and attack the Zionists? No, people, we need to be realistic. They're doing what they can. Okay? Can we understand that? Now, Saudi Arabia just signed a huge weapons deal with Trump. They'll have more of an ability to attack Israel and help Gaza than Jordan ever would. So maybe we should be focusing on that. Or maybe we shouldn't get upset about Hezbollah. Or maybe we shouldn't get upset about Hamas. Or, I don't know, I hate to say anything because, one, I've told you about my husband, and two, my current husband works off and on for his friend's defense contractor who does a lot of work with Space Force. So they're always trying to find new and better ways to either, however you want to think about it, either help people or not help people. I was kind of brought into this because someone asked me to start documenting all of the pictures that we're coming across, particularly TikTok, but some of the other ones like Message and Snapchat and things like that, so that we could have a working shoot. I'm not doing well. I have my boot off, so my ankle hurts. Database of people and things that have happened, so that when we go to build our library of what happened to the Palestinian people during this genocide, we'll have an accurate description of what's going on. So as I've told people, please wait and be patient about what I'm going to say about Jordan, because you can't keep pounding on Jordan if you don't understand what's going on in Jordan. Again, they're a very poor country who relies on the U.S. for their survival. If you have a better idea for the Jordanians, I'm sure they'd love to hear it. But then you got the orange spice Palpatine that's going to come in and cause trouble. And do we need that right now? Does Jordan need that right now? Maybe the time to renegotiate is when he's out of office. I'm just saying that might be the time. I mean, they were not using weapons to attack Gaza. They did shoot down a couple of weapons that were over their airspace. And they have been adamant about other countries not using their airspace to shoot to Israel or Palestine. Hasn't always worked, but best laid plans, you know. So I will look more into Jordan, but again, please think about what I said. Research a little bit about what I said, and then find some answers on your own, because you don't even have to use Google. You can use ChatGPT, and it'll spit out some answers for you. Okay? It'll all be good. Well, hopefully I've had my microphone way over there, so hopefully you've been able to hear me. Ow. My ankle hurts. I'm sorry. So I'm going to have to go. But hopefully I will see you at least in the next day or two. I don't know why it's got the wrong name on there, but I'll fix that. And I look forward to seeing you shortly. Bye.